Let's talk about the Angels situation. We'll type in this headline in a second. The Angels are being sued by Tyler Skaggs and his family, the late Angel pitcher who died of a drug overdose in 2019. The case is now going to court next week. Judges resolved all the motions that have been filed. The trial will take place. The Angels are of the opinion that Tyler Skaggs, the left-handed pitcher who died of a drug overdose in Texas in 2019, hid from the team his drug addictions while he was with the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then he came to Anaheim and his addictions got worse. The family is of the opinion you fueled these addictions because your public relations director was a drug addict himself, Eric Kay, and he was the one that was feeding Skaggs, selling him drugs, including amphetamines, including the fentanyl that killed him. These are the bullet points and the headlines that are going to be presented in the opening statements. That there is evidence now that Tyler Skaggs was addicted to Percocet, painkillers, as far back as when he pitched for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and he never told anybody about it in Anaheim. And his family was aware that he had that addiction problem. They never told the Angel organization. Now there's evidence that Eric Kay, the PR director, went and got oxycodone prescriptions illegally and distributed them to Tyler Skaggs. That on the night he died of the drug overdose in Texas, he had consumed 10 to 15 drinks that night prior to taking these pills. The Angels medical people say that Tyler Skaggs died of a cardiac arrhythmia. He had a large amount of oxycodone in his system. He had a minute amount of fentanyl in his system, and the fentanyl did not kill him. But because he was a drug addict who had lied for all the years he was with the Angels about the fact he'd been taking stuff since he was in Arizona, that Tyler Skaggs killed himself, and the Angels should not be held responsible. Now, at the end of the day, the family says it told the team it feared that the PR director, Eric Kay, was providing illegal prescriptions to Tyler Skaggs. Eric Kay's wife went to the Angels and said she feared that the PR director had had a drug relapse. Mike Trout reportedly offered to pay to get Eric Kay into a drug rehab center out of his own salary. And of course, there's all the ancillary stuff that has surfaced during the probe that Eric Kay was dealing not only to Tyler Skaggs, he was dealing to Matt Harvey, CJ Cron, Cam Bedrosian, and other players. And these other players are going to be dragged in and asked to testify what they knew, what they got, etc. This is a story of just tragic proportions. This is deep. This is dark for a franchise that has had problems and problems and problems off the field. Aside from the problems on the field with injuries, wasted money on free agency, other tragic deaths of players, and now the Tyler Skaggs situation. And I feel for Artie Moreno. I feel for some of the people in that organization that I know that have been dragged into this abyss. So I guess the burning question, John, this is pretty dark. This is pretty deep. The burning question I ask you, who's to blame for all this? Is it Tyler Skaggs, drug addict - liar? Or is it Angels not controlling, not knowing, and not removing the guy that was dealing drugs once they got him into rehab and found out all the depths of what Eric Kay was all about? Very complicated story.
It is complex. I mean, to answer your question directly, I mean, Tyler Skaggs is responsible for his own life, so you got to have the initial level of blame there. But in the second priority level of blame would be Kay, because he was dealing. And by the way, I don't know how in the hell all these ball players could be athletes on the field taking this stuff, and then really the third level, the third priority in terms of blame has to be the Angels organization for not managing what was going on. I mean, they got to know these kinds of things that are happening in the clubhouse and to a certain degree off the field.
Angels knew that Eric Kay had drug problems. Eric Kay's wife went to the Angels and said he has relapsed. The Angels paid to get him into rehab. He was in rehab, I was told, 3 different occasions. They took him off the job, they sent him, and he entered himself in the hospitals. However, federal law says once he has completed that rehab program, he comes out with authorization from the doctor. The doctor says he has completed this. They have to give him his job back. You can't terminate him.
That's a bad law.
Well, so anyhow,
yeah,
That's the Angels are standing by that federal law that is on the books at this point in time. It's a terrible story. Yeah, I'm so torn about this because it's so dark, and there's so many people affected by this. At the end of the day, though, Tyler Skaggs was an addict by his own choosing to begin with, and then became addicted to everything else that Eric Kay was giving him. And Eric Kay is in jail, in prison for 22 years for dealing drugs. So I'm not sure where the Angels lay in terms of the guilt aspect of this, but to me, sadly, I think there's more to blame on Tyler Skaggs than there is on anybody else.
Yeah, it has to start there. But they're going to go for the deep pockets, right? So they're going to go to the MLB franchise, the gazillionaire owner, and try to get as much as they can. I just think about Tyler Skaggs, the person, because if he was that addicted to drugs, what he is addicted is to escaping reality. And so there was obviously some kind of a problem psychologically, or maybe in his past. It makes you wonder what drove him to this, because to a person like you or I who played baseball as a little kid, Tyler Skaggs is living the American young boy little league dream.
Yep.
He's on a major league team. He's pitching and making money doing it. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that if you're a baseball fan. So I don't know his background. I have no idea. I just wonder what caused it all.
Well, I also he was hurt in Arizona, and that's how he got addicted to Percocet, which is a painkiller. But at the end of the day, I mean, there were shortcomings in the person. And I thought about this from a different perspective. Where the hell's the union in all this? The union's got a great drug program with help for any player that needs it. No union intervention. He failed no drug test. He was doing this stuff in the season, getting buzzed. And even when he had these random tests, none of this ever showed. Where's the Players Association and their drug program? But to me, the bulk of it falls on him because he kept doing it. If he wanted to kick it, that's the 800 number that's posted in that clubhouse on every wall, that if you got personal problems, you call this number on behalf of the union, and we will take you to the right people.
Well, of course, Skaggs is not going to want to call that number because he doesn't want to, be found out, right? And so he's going to be sneaky. And then his teammates, you think, would call on his behalf, but they don't want to throw their teammate under the bus. They want to protect him. And so in the end, Skaggs suffers. Help was available. And this would be a time really for management to step up and call the union on behalf of the team and say, hey, you got to look at this player.
And it'll be interesting because they've deposed, I was told they deposed 53 people. They deposed Angel players who were friends with him and saw all this going on. They've deposed players that pitched with Skaggs in Arizona and in other spots, and players from other teams that are probably going to be dragged into the courtroom and asked to testify about what they knew, when they knew it, etc. To me, it's just a tragic story.
Well, what's interesting, by the way, in your article was all the other Angels players that have suffered tragic deaths.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you had Lyman Bostock and Donnie Moore, and who was the other kid? Was it
Minnie Rojas died in an auto accident? Nick Aidenhart was killed by a drunk driver.
Aidenhart, yeah. I don't know. Minnie who?
Minnie Rojas, relief pitcher way back in the 70s.
that I don't remember that name, but the other three for sure. I mean, didn't Lyman Bostock play for the Brewers, if I remembered? But
he played for a whole bunch of people, but he was gunned down in Chicago.
Yeah, because when I saw it in the One Man's Opinion, I went and looked it up on Wikipedia, and he was just a passenger in a car and got hit by a bullet. It's just a random thing. And it was like a few hours after the ball game had ended. It was just awful.
So you're an Angel fan. We've tried to give you the depth of the story. I think it's a horrible story, and it has to be discussed, has to be covered. I'll be intrigued to see where this goes. From what I gather, there will be no out-of-court settlement because the Skaggs family is asking for almost $800 million in damages, and the Angels say it was on him, it's not on us. But a lot of really good people in that organization are being dragged into this abyss. Angel fans forum chat box is open. Feel free to get involved. That's all things baseball.